from her. So it looks like there's just Karen missing this evening.
Looks like it.
Yeah, I think everyone else is here. So we'll need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Move to adopt the agenda.
Second.
I need a discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll move into our continuing business and voting as necessary. First item is our entity bylaw amendments. Go ahead, Linda.
Okay, let's see. I sent you pages 2 and 3, and also on the top of that, I had measure 2. I've kind of started working on the booklet already for the AGM. And I sent you all an email from the attorney because I got that yesterday afternoon. I sent it last night with the language that he recommends. And I assume you all read and looked at that. Nobody
Yes,
read
we
and
saw
looked
it,
at it.
Linda.
Okay, I guess then what I'm looking for from you guys is, I guess I would like to know, this is strictly from Rich. He sent a really good explanation too of some of the writing that's in there. I don't know if this is what you all were looking for, but if it is, I think it's clearer than all the other stuff we had in there, but I don't vote and you guys need to approve this language.
Linda, I do have a question on, he refers there to RCW 61.30. What does that say?
Yes. I'm not certain. I think he explained that in his explanation, Leslie. And I don't know if that's something you want added to the verbiage of this. I believe Rich explained what it's in his email to us, what it said, if I'm not mistaken. I'm assuming our attorney knows what he's talking about.
Are you asking us to approve all of these measures at once, or are we going to take them one at a time?
Well, how do I say this? I have, let's see. I think we need to take them one at a time because measure 2 has verbiage that wasn't there at our last meeting. Measure 3, we amended to take out all the language that referred to the 90 days. That's what was the hold on this. I do have something I want you all to look at. Measure 4, you approved the quorum language. There's a second part to that I made in addition. The section 5 is quorum. Section 6 is the adjournment of a meeting that is basically tied to what a quorum is. And I have that as just one measure together. It simply says that should we have to adjourn the meeting for any reason, that the quorum, that the quorum would be as described in the same as section 5 above. Otherwise, it goes back to 50 warm bodies again. So that's about the only other one. Measure 5, you approved. I simply put all of these, I tried to put them the way the measures should look and the ballot language should look, rather than just the bylaw changes themselves. Because initially, that's what you're going to be approving as a board.
I think going individually
So,
would make the most sense.
Okay, so I guess I'll ask
Personally,
you
because I have
guys
some
to
that I
all,
support and some that I don't.
okay, then I guess I would ask you all to look at measure 2, and I would make a motion that you approve measure 2, the bylaw amendment, to be as modified and a corrected definition by the attorney that you asked for. And I need a second.
Any further discussion?
Can I just, if I say as presented, do you feel, Linda, that that encapsulates what you just said?
Yes.
Thank you.
Discussion?
Did we have a second?
Yeah, I second.
Yes, AJ.
Thanks, AJ.
Oh,
So all those in favor of measure 2 as presented, signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Oh, a lot of people. Oh, we need to have, you may need to call people. I have a lot of blacked out people on my screen. I can't see Paula, Steffi, Rob. I only can see Andrew, Leslie, and Josh and yourself, Andrew. So you may have to do a roll call.
I was
I'm
able,
not sure why everybody's blacked out.
I was able to see everybody and I saw everybody raise their hands. Is that correct?
Yes.
I wrote
Any
mine.
opposed? Please say something now if you're opposed. Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Next item, Linda.
Okay, measure 3. The first time I brought it to you guys, it had the 90-day stipulation in it. That all references to that has been removed, and you should be able to see that in your amended motion that you received. And it's just simply, I would make a motion that you approve measure 3 to allow for member petitions to be presented at an AGM. I need a second.
second.
And I still have,
Discussion.
still have concerns about this as far as the timing goes. Because if somebody were to put forward a petition, a legal petition, and they would ask for it to be on the AGM, and they were to present it on October the 15th, there's no way that that could happen. So I would be,
And then I guess we discussed that.
yeah, I would,
I understand.
I'd be opposed to
Yeah,
this.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, okay.
As it currently stands, that can happen anyways. And
Well,
I guess for me,
you
I'm
know,
just
I
not,
understand
I'm
what
not in
she's
favor
saying
of
is that-
reducing my rights as a member, period.
Well, you still, how do I say this? You can still present a petition and have it, you just don't put that it goes in the AGM. I would hope that if members put petitions together, they look at timing and they're realizing that there's no way that it can go on an AGM unless you put a date in here that would signify when the cutoff would have to be if they wanted to have it on the AGM.
That's what I was asking, what the cutoff date is.
Could we
I don't
not
see
do it-
any cutoff date on this measure.
Could we put it in line with the cutoff date
No,
for the
we-
board to present their amendments to have it into the booklet?
No, once again, once you start setting dates on stuff, it gets ugly. You know, I don't deny that for a minute, you know. I just, you know, like I say, the reason that I brought this forward originally is there has been, and not a lot of you have been here, but for years, when people start presenting petitions, it's like, why do we have to spend all that money? Currently, we have no option. I'm just trying to give the membership an option to actually possibly have their voice heard more by having them be able to have things put on the AGM that they bring forward that they care about. You know, I guess I could go back to the committee and see if there's any way that Because they'd almost have to have a cutoff for a petition if they wanted it on the AGM. Wow. I'd say by August, you know, we're kind of looking at August right now, and here's where we're discussing stuff. You have the budget that you have to adopt by the 3rd. But if you have a petition presented by the members, it has to be a vetted petition. And that takes time for the committee and staff, entity committee and staff to vet petitions. You wouldn't believe how long it took when we did the last petition for the removal of directors. It was definitely a 2-day affair. So, you know, I guess I would ask you guys, what do you think is a fair cutoff date if that's what you would like to do? I know AJ doesn't want to have anything like that, but I don't know what Leslie and Paula would suggest.
I guess Rich and then Paula.
My only question is, if you were going to do this, what's the lead time in weeks that would be required to have it in the booklet that goes out for the AGM?
Well, and Rich, that's kind of why I'm saying now, and I guess I'd have to look, I'd never considered that, but I'm saying, you know, we're looking at bylaw amendments and what to put in there right now. So if the board is putting something together, I would say that anything that was to be put on the AGM ballot would be submitted and vetted before the end of August. Because right after Labor Day is when all, go ahead.
So 5 weeks?
Roughly, yeah, because you basically, you need a month for be able to mail out the ballots to the members.
Well, if you give yourself a week's cushion, that's 6 weeks. It's not 90 days. It's just 6 weeks, 45 days or whatever. Define it in weeks from the AGM back.
Paula.
I don't know, Rich may have made a point on that. I was just thinking, because they don't have to, this is just if they want to get it on with the AGM. So we're still not limiting anybody's ability to do it in any other way. But
Correct.
I mean, I would say the board publicizes when they plan on finalizing everything for the booklets. For the AGM, we publish that fairly early in the process. So that it stays somewhat fluid, I would almost say, you know, it has to be in a week before whatever that date is. That way there's time to vet it, there's time to get everything on there. That's not an arbitrary, I mean, it's not a set date, but it does give some fluidity to be able to look at, you know, what is the board doing? When do they have to have everything in, so that we're not asking anybody to do anything other than what the board's already doing to put their information together to put before the public. So it seems like it.
Correct. You're correct. That's right, Paula. You're right.
It seems like it could be in line with whatever the board publicizes as their date to have everything finalized for the AGM to begin with.
Steffi.
I think she's right.
Was Leslie before me?
I didn't
No,
see
I've
Leslie's
spoken.
hand, but maybe.
No? Okay. Okay, so I think that it's great to not put dates, and Paula has a great idea because the board does say, hey, we're going to do this. This is going to be our step, you know, X, Y, and Z. So it is a good idea to just say a week before submitted, because then that ensures communication and things like that. So that is a good idea. All the while, when we were talking about this, I'm just like, wait a minute, we're going through all of this trouble and all of this work to change a bylaw when, in fact, we're on new frontiers. we're getting ready to go into electronic voting, and this is our first year of that. We don't even know what that looks like. We may have a way more streamlined process, you know, in the next couple years, because we're just going to be getting our feet wet with electronic voting. And then, I mean, who knows? We could set up any type of voting like that. And I mean, once we're good at it and work out all the kinks after a year, I just think it's a lot of work for us, because with electronic voting, we may have a more streamlined process. And you know, when I first started talking about things, changing bylaws, everybody was like, oh, we don't go changing bylaws willy-nilly. But I feel like the last couple of years, there sure has been a lot of bylaw changes being presented. Maybe that's just me. That's just my perception. I'm not saying statistically, but a lot less changing things and just sticking with the basics where we're not over defining everything. And with more communication, I think we won't have the argument and need hard and fast rules. So, I mean, that's my 2 cents. I say we wait it out and see what the future holds for us.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
you want to leave it as it is. You're not in favor of amending this
Well,
to allow petitions to be built.
Well, it would be a great
Go ahead.
idea. It would be a really great idea to do that. But now we're beating a dead horse down again. Like, oh, well, what day do we say? Okay, don't put a date in. Okay, we need 5 weeks. We need 6 weeks. And I mean, it's like pretty soon we're up to the 90 days that we just started. And I mean, we're just trying to, I guess what I'm trying to say is, yes, we're trying to do something.
I'm trying to make it.
Yeah, we're trying to do something good,
And
but
if we leave it, if you leave it the way it is, then there's not an issue. You know, part of, if you decide to do a petition, hopefully you're going to read the bylaws and understand where it's at and ask some questions
That's
as
right.
to if it can be done or not.
that's right.
You
Because
know,
when I,
And
yes,
like you
when-
say, you know, right now, for years, the board has kind of stuck with their calendar that we're looking at now. There's a little bit of fluctuation in there, but most times you spend most of June, July, and August getting things ready to get in the booklet and get ready for printing and mailing in September.
Mm-hmm. But we also don't know, I'm just saying we don't know what that looks like. And I mean, I just don't think it's hard to be patient for a year and see what electronic voting looks like, so that we can maybe have an even easier process.
Well, I can tell you right now, Steffi, electronic voting, you didn't look at it this year. If you look at it next year, nothing will be approved by the membership until the following year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when the subject of what is keeping us from electronic voting now is taken up, it's going to be a tough decision for the board.
so,
Just
I mean,
FYI for you.
Okay, well, that's nice to know. I mean, I don't know. I guess sometimes I like to be a little bit more conservative. I assimilate it to when I'm taking care of patients. If there's something wrong, it's like I like to start with one thing at a time. Like we are working on electronic voting. I mean, I would like to see it go that way. It's hard to, I mean, a cutoff time, if you were going to say a week.
And that's
that
why
would
I
be
didn't
better.
put one in this.
Right. I know. It's like I just feel like we can't do anything right with this one. So maybe leave it be for now, is what I'm saying. Fix one thing at a time.
Okay, I'm just saying, cost wise and stuff, you know, the reason I wanted to do it is the amount of money we have spent since 2016 through the current, we have already had one SGM this year. We've
Right.
spent roughly the same amount of money on SGMs as AGMs.
Right. I know.
And that's without taking into consideration this year's.
Right. And so, I mean, the measure is brought with good intent. I do appreciate that. I do. I don't know.
think,
Keep going, people.
I mean, I guess for me, I guess would support it the way it's written. I could see where you may need to incorporate some language if they're going to choose to present it at the AGM, it has to be given to the board president before we, create our booklets and stuff. I wouldn't support putting a date on the SGM. Currently, the way it stands, there is no date. So whenever the community presents an SGM, it's mandatory to move forward. And so that's the part for
Yeah,
me.
and it
where
has to be
I'm
within
just
60
giving
days.
away
It's a
my
tight
rights.
timeline.
But for me, the SGM thing is, well, yeah, it would be not the most ideal situation if the community presented a petition in October, but I hope that the community that presents such a petition would recognize, what they're doing, and it better be, a very important issue to be bringing forward at that same exact time. Karen?
Sorry, first of all, sorry I was late. I had some issues, and I'm kind of joining late, but what I am hearing is, first of all, we don't know if we will be able to move towards electronic voting. There's some hurdles to jump through and we're not quite sure.
Yes, I heard that.
but
Thank you.
Yeah, but I do appreciate that we want to move in that direction, or at least we want to streamline things. But what I thought I heard Paula say was, if we set the date as 1 week prior to whatever the board calendar is, if we improve our process and we streamline that, and we don't need the lead time that we have now, the printing and whatever, that it would just be set to whatever the board calendar was. So if we were able to streamline or change our process in the future, if it's just set to 1 week prior to whatever the board's deadline is for submitting all materials, then no matter how the process changes in the future, we're just giving the board that 1 week lead time to get it incorporated into whatever it is that we send out to the public. So I think we could address it now and still give ourselves room to improve in the future.
Paula? You're on mute.
I had $1 for every time I've done that during this damn COVID thing. I would be rich by now. So I have that we have a measure on the table currently. I'd like to amend that measure to add the language that a member may present an SGM to be considered at the time of the AGM if it is, it may be considered with the AGM if it is received 1 week before publicized budget calendar deadline.
I'd second that amendment.
Discussion, question?
Hearing none, all those in favor of the amended motion as stated by Paula, signify by saying aye.
Hold on 1 second. I just want a clarifying question. That's just to present it at the AGM. That's what that's stating. Okay.
Yeah, only if they want it on the AGM. It doesn't affect any other presentation of an SGM.
Okay.
Sorry, AJ.
Steffi?
So can
Any
you
other
repeat that?
discussion?
Ooh,
Steffi had a
I
hand
just
up
need
and then-
Paula she kind of fumbled through that, and I'm trying to write down and I need to know where you want that inserted into the language.
Okay. Do we want to have Steffi ask a question first before we do that in case we change it more?
Yeah.
Oh,
might as well.
Okay. And so we will, for certain, we will be publicizing when it goes to, when the, when everything goes to print, correct?
And I put that, when I stated, I put that link, publicized budget calendar deadline.
Okay, perfect.
So the amended measure would be that for measure 3, to approve measure 3, to allow member motions or I have too many things crossed out. To allow SGM petitions to be presented for voting at the AGM if it is received 1 week before publicized budget calendar deadline.
So, Mr. President, just a process question. Do we need to vote again? Because we actually voted. Do we need to vote again?
I don't think we captured everyone on the amended motion, so I'd like to call the question again now. Thanks for the clarification, Rob. So all those in favor of the motion as presented by Paula?
Of the
signify by saying-
amendment or the underlying motion?
The amendment.
Amendment.
Okay.
Yes, the
Yep.
amendment.
Signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Any opposed? Please speak up so we can hear you.
Nay.
1 nay. Motion carries. Thank you. We'll go back to the original motion.
Doesn't that kill, does that?
No, now we vote on the
Oh.
wording that's been changed to actually do it.
Okay.
Would you like to read that for us, Paula?
For measure 3, hold on, I have to get through all of these again. Linda actually might have it right in front of her because I did it right from her. I've crossed half of it out. The original one was to accept measure 3 to allow member motions to be presented at the AGM.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed?
Oh, to the original? No.
Nay.
Wait,
Did you capture everyone's vote, Paula?
I did.
And my understanding is the
So-
motion did not carry.
The motion did not carry.
Okay, next item, Linda.
Wait, who voted what? I
Okay,
didn't,
then
The amended motion has carried.
Correct.
so it passed?
The original motion as stated failed.
Yeah, my understanding is that
We
the,
amended the
But we-
original motion, so we weren't voting on the original motion anymore.
right, that's what I asked. I said, doesn't it
Originally,
kill it?
we did this last meeting. The amendment is we're just voting on the wording change, and then the second motion is voting on this wording change as the main motion that we just amended.
that's my understanding.
So if you approved the amended motion, then logically you should have approved the next one. Otherwise, you would have been against the amendment. At least that's
Okay,
what
I'm
Leslie told us
confused.
last meeting as to what we did when we amended a bunch of these motions. And I have not had time to read Robert's rules on that.
Yeah, I'm a little confused on that too, which I actually abstained from that vote because I was feeling confused. So yeah, when you vote on the amended motion, then you vote on the underlying motion that includes the amendment, correct? Like you vote to include the amendment in the motion, and then when you go back and vote on the original motion, I thought you were voting on it with the changes. I do think that's what we did last meeting, right?
That's my understanding. That's what my understanding is, that when we vote on the main motion, it includes the amendment that we approved. That's my understanding. I
Can
could
we
be wrong.
call a clarification on the original motion, Mr. President?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to know, because you now have number 1, the ballot, the actual, what the ballot's gonna say. But what Paula wants to amend, I believe, is the language that explains what this means. Am I correct, Paula? Or do you want that all added to the ballot language?
In my amendment, I fully restated a full amendment. I didn't just add it, I changed the
The ballot or the
wording.
explanation?
Both.
So you want the ballot to say the annual general and special general meetings of the bylaws be amended to allow for member petitions to be presented and voted on at an AGM. Let's see, and then it has to say in the ballot language, a member may present a petition to be considered at the AGM submitted a week before the budget calendar deadline. So it's going to say that all in the ballot measure?
The way that I worded the amendment included, my understanding was when I made the amendment, I included the wording specifically that we approve measure 3 to allow SGM petitions to be considered at the AGM if received 1 week before the publicized budget calendar deadline, which I believe completely incorporated the major points from the original motion into the amended motion.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand because the ballot and the explanation are two different things. The ballot is, and that's why I'm asking this question. Because before you were just looking at the bylaws and now this time you're looking at the whole enchilada.
Karen?
Well, Linda, I think you would have to, I mean, because in the explanation, that's the text that the bylaws would actually be changed to say, right? So the ballot, where it says
Yes.
ballot, you're kind of saying, you're summarizing it. And then you have to actually show what the
And that's
text
what,
would
yeah,
say in the bylaw.
and the text is below here because
Mhm.
you can see where it says text added or as deleted. That's where I thought Paula wanted to put the change. That's why I was asking. Normally a ballot measure isn't.
I think the change would
When
have to
you
go
vote
in
on your
there.
ballot, you vote, but you have the explanation that you're looking at of what the bylaw is going to be amended to say. And that's where I thought Paula wanted to add that extra information. And now I'm going, wait a minute, you're getting me all confused.
I would say we should be voting on amending the actual bylaw language and approving that before we vote on what it all looks like in the ballot. Because what I
And that's
took Paula
kinda
to
what you
say was
have
that
with-
she was actually changing the language, because we would have to change the language in the actual bylaws to do what you're saying, Paula. We can't
Not
just
the-
put it on
yes,
the explanation part of the ballot. We have to physically change the bylaws.
Which is what measure 3 is. Doesn't that incorporate it by stating?
Well,
to
Linda's showing
approve?
us the actual language, which has typically not been included on the ballot. At least it wasn't last year. It was just the explanation because there was
Never is.
measures. So I think we have to settle on that actual bylaw amendment, and that's what drives the ballot explanation is kind of the way I. Karen, I think. I don't know if anyone else.
But you could
has
add
that.
those. I'm kind of actually confused if we're supposed to be talking about this right now, but you could add it right after. So you have that highlighted underlined part where it says voted on at the next AGM instead of an SGM if presented 1 week prior to the publicized budget calendar. That's right. It's the same wording. It would go right there. We just need to designate where it would go. And I think maybe we all need to wrap our brains around what we are voting on, because I was confused last time and I apologize.
Is that what your amendment? Are you concurring, Paula, with what Karen just said, that you're looking to stuff that language in at the end of that sentence in the detailed changes? Or are you looking to actually change the explanation of what Linda wrote above that?
I'm looking to add in the wording. In the end, that was the intent of the amendment, to add in the clarification of the wording of having it in 1 week before the publicized budget calendar deadline. That's the intent of the amendment.
Into the bylaws.
Yes.
That was my understanding as well. Is there consensus on that
If-
understanding?
How do I say it? Yeah, now I understand. At first I was real confused with what Paula was talking about. I think what I would like to do is if you guys approve this amendment, I think we need to come back, take a look at what it's gonna look like. Paula's gonna send me exact wording so I can cut and paste. And we'll amend this. And then want you guys to just look at it. You don't have to approve it again. You just have to look at it and go, yay, verily. Then if there's a problem, you can change it. But it's gonna let you see exactly what we're all talking about. Because right now, none of us can see that.
I don't think that's a good idea. Rob?
I just wanted to make maybe a process improvement suggestion. When we're dealing with documentation like this, what if we were just to take the document, the Word document, someone share it in the meeting, just share it on the screen, and we edit it on the fly, so we can all see what, because I'm hearing, well, I meant to put this wording right here or there or there. If we can see it on the screen, I think it might add clarity. I'm used to kind of changing documents that way where all the meeting participants can see it. I don't mean to create more work for you, Paula or Linda, but I think it would make things a little bit clearer.
I don't disagree with that. John, would that be a difficult thing for you to be able to allow people to share their screen? So if we followed that?
No, we can make that work.
Okay.
I think that would make things.
I was gonna say, I know we've done
I think
PDFs,
that would-
but I
I
don't
think
know
that
that
would-
we've done actual working documents.
Would any of that step on the toes of N&E though? As far as some of these
Maybe.
changes go?
It might, Josh, but I think that for us, it would allow us to just kind of, we can collaborate and see it all at the same time.
Yeah, I like that idea. I just don't want to get yelled at again by N&E for anything.
I don't want to get yelled
I
at
think
by
the
anybody.
board made the
Hey,
decision.
I'm
I don't know
yelling,
that
I'm
it even have
yelling.
to go back to N&E.
Well, and we would be doing it for the clarification of
You know,
what
and
we're
I
voting
kind of
on.
agree with that. It's gonna have to be reviewed by the attorney anyway, and he's gonna have to say, yeah, guys, this is okay, or yeah, guys, it stinks, or here's what I suggest you should do.
Yeah, I think at this point, we just need to continue to work through and get it all finalized to a point where we do bring it back to the attorney with all the changes.
AJ, you may not have
Steffi, I
seen
think I saw your
Stephanie's hand
hand
up. AJ, you may not have seen Steffi had her hand up.
Oh,
Steffi?
I was gonna say, why aren't we
If
using
you
Google
approve,
Docs to share documents? You can decide if they can be edited or not. If you have something like that, you can just use Google Documents. And then the author of the document can change it, but the rest of us can just be for viewing.
Why don't I plan on getting with
well, for now,
John?
can we,
I'll get with John offline so that for our next meeting, we can come up with the solution so that when we have motions and amendments, we can put those right up for the entire board to be able to see. How does that sound?
that works, so are you just gonna, so what are we doing with measure 3 then? Are we gonna go ahead and are you gonna vote on this added amendment? We're gonna get it ready. You're gonna send me the stuff. I'm gonna get it back to you at our next meeting. Looks like the 8th of August. And then you're all gonna look at it and say, yay, happily ever after, or I just don't know where to go from here.
I think you said exactly what should happen, Linda. I think you should rewrite it with the language that Paula gave. I think it seems like majority of the board is on board with that. And then, we can vote on that amendment. I would say we should be re-voting on that since it appears no one was clear on what they were.
All right,
actually
we're gonna
voting for.
re-vote on number 3. That works for me just fine.
And basically, we're voting to tell you.
Can we move on to
put-
measure 4?
Is everyone comfortable with that as presented? Thumbs up.
I'm comfortable with that.
So
I just
comfortable.
want everybody to know what we're looking at and, you know, because for a while Paula had me going, no, it's in the ballot. And I'm going, no,
Would it be possible to
it's
just
kind of
edit it?
confusing.
Would it be possible to edit it now and we could just look at it and vote on it? Feels like we're kind of kicking this can down the road a little bit.
I think,
Well, it's kind of what we've always done in the past, Rob. You know, otherwise I've got to go in and find out where I've got all this information posted at and try and share with all of you.
Thank you. I understand. I'm not trying to, I'm not criticizing. I just would like to see some decisions made and move forward.
I think basically what I'm hearing from you guys is y'all like Measure 3, but Paula thinks and you all agree that you have a little bit of language you'd like to see added. I think Leslie pointed that out so that people know that if they're going to have their petitions on an AGM, when it needs to be submitted, if that's their intention. Correct, Paula?
Yes.
So you know what? She's going to send me that language exactly as she wrote it. I'm going to put it in here, make it all pretty, and just bring Measure 3 back to you guys.
I think that makes sense. Shouldn't take more
Measure
than
4
5 minutes.
Yeah, it shouldn't. So Measure 4
Are we
is a
voting to
bylaw
postpone this?
amendment.
Leslie has her hand raised first.
Are we agreeing to postpone this
Oh, I'm
then?
sorry.
We're
yes.
postponing?
Yes.
I think we have a motion on the floor,
For
don't
the
we?
next meeting, just to do the language revision.
Yeah, we do
Okay,
have
so
a
we are
motion
not
on the
voting
floor.
now. We're not voting now.
We are not voting now that we are postponing. Do we need a motion to postpone?
Yeah,
So I'm sorry, I thought we voted on the amended motion that we all now understand. And then at some point we discussed where it was actually going to be inserted into the bylaws. We read that and I thought Linda was going to provide that back to us and we didn't need to vote on it, but we could just see it. Because we did go through where it was going to be inserted in the bylaws already. So my understanding is we've already voted on it. We just want to see it in writing and we don't need to vote on it again because it's already a done deal. It's voted on and will be inserted in the bylaws at the location that Linda and Paula both clarified for all of us. Is that everyone's understanding? I don't think we need to come back and vote on it again.
Well, I think what a couple people said was that they were confused when they were voting. Karen indicated that she didn't even know what she was voting for the second time. It was confusing. So that's where the conversation started veering that way. Does everyone still feel that way?
Was the result of the
Clarify.
vote on
I
the
heard
agenda?
someone say that the motion failed and I heard someone say that the motion passed
Right.
as well.
What
So
was
I
the vote?
think we need to re-vote on the motion because it was completely unclear to people, it seemed.
We all agree
So
that the
Paula,
amendment
what do you
passed.
have for in?
We all agreed that the amendment passed. Are we all? Yes.
The amendment, yes.
Yes.
Okay. My understanding, and maybe I am the one that confused this. My understanding is that then we have to go back to the original motion and vote on the original motion
As amended.
With the amendment.
with the amendment. So if we're voting on the original motion with the amendment, can we take that, can we call that vote? Can we call that again even? Is that procedurally okay? Now that people have a clear understanding of what they're doing.
I think
we
we
have
want
a
to
clear
have a vote that
understanding?
people have a clear understanding of what they're voting on.
Okay, so we
That's-
would be
I think
voting
everyone would
on,
agree with that.
Let's do it.
Really
Sorry to
hot,
interrupt.
isn't it?
it's,
What was the original outcome of the vote? Sorry to interrupt you guys. What was the was it failed?
the original was failed. Not enough people rose their hands, or I didn't get that Karen had abstained. I didn't hear an abstaining on that one. So when we went back to revote for it, the original motion failed. by a raise of hands, that I wrote down.
So maybe so that we're technically following our Robert's Rules of Order, a motion should be set forth with that amended language as a new motion, and we could vote.
Would you like me to read the original motion with the amended for a vote?
Yes, please.
I would support that.
Me too.
Brent or Karen, did you have a question?
Well, yeah, I guess my question is, if an amendment passes, but then the original fails, are we saying that the whole thing failed? And I think
Yes.
that's what's, I guess, a bit confusing to me.
Yeah, if people voted to approve the amendment, they would logically be voting to approve the main motion as amended.
Approve the measure with the amendment.
And I guess what
Maybe not.
I'm good. I guess I'm good either way, but technically we failed a motion. And if we're saying, well, I didn't quite understand, I want to vote again, I think technically we need a motion on the floor to vote on because we already voted.
Fabulous. I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead.
Go, Paula.
Wait, no, I don't. First, Linda, can you repeat your original motion for me? The wording of yours with
Okay, it's measure 3. It's the bylaw amendment to allow member petitions to be presented at an AGM. And that's what I gave you guys. And then that's when you got into discussion after that. And we got down into the body of this. And that's where the first time you voted to not approve that, but then you talked about the amendment because an amendment gets voted on separately. And you all approved that. So to me, you'd have to go back and ask for a vote to approve measure 3 bylaw amendment to allow member petitions to be presented at an AGM as amended.
So I'm going to, well, the 1 and 2, the original measure and the amendment, I've got a whole new motion to make, right? That's where we agreed we're at. Whole new motion. I'd like to
think
make
so.
a motion that measure 3 be to allow petitions to be presented in an AGM, be voted on if they are received 1 week before the publicized budget calendar deadline. That's my motion.
Second. I'll second
Any
that.
further, just thank you, Karen. Thank you, Paula. Any further discussion? Any further clarification?
I still feel like we're trying to cobble something together. And I would like to be able to think about it for a while before I just see if it really makes sense.
So Leslie, are you asking?
That's why I said we should revote and let you all look at it when it's all clean.
Okay, then Leslie, are you asking to postpone that motion until the next meeting?
There doesn't seem to be any desire to do that for the rest of the board. But it's not clear to me what we're saying and the implications of what we're saying. I'm not sure that it will cure the problem.
Well, I think what we're saying is that there could be an SGM motion could be presented and voted on during the AGM. I think that's what we're.
That's correct.
That's the
It's
basic.
not an SGM, Rob. It's a member petition.
Thank you for that language. So that the members can petition at the AGM or any other, this allows them to petition at AGM or any other time, which would become an SGM. And that seems pretty clear to me.
I think what Leslie brought up before, and I get what she's saying, if somebody submits a petition in October, that's too late because we've already sent out that year's AGM. I think we're looking at trying to make sure that if people wish to have their petition considered at an AGM, that they have the language submitted by this submitted 1 week before published budget deadline, which if there was a petition, that would give time for it to be vetted, looked at, and added to the AGM.
To throw some
Because
further
we as a board cannot refuse a member petition that's been vetted.
throw some further confusion into this. It really is the way the bylaws stand right now. It's possible for a group to bring forward a petition. Let's see, the beginning of September. And if they have the necessary 10% of valid signatures on it, September, we would have to have an SGM in 60 days, which would be the beginning of November. And then a couple of days later, we would have an AGM. So
That's how it currently is, Leslie.
Yes,
It's
I know it is.
Nothing's changed.
I know.
Yeah.
We should be looking at that also.
I don't think we should be looking at restricting our property rights. I disagree. Paula?
So it's okay to have AGM and SGM. Is one
I think,
another.
I think you can say what you want. I mean, I understand the logic of what you're saying, but I'm not gonna willingly give away my property rights just because of a procedural issue within the bylaws. I would just say that I'd hope that the person who's bringing forward and the group that's bringing forward a petition would understand the importance of what they're doing if they're proposing such a thing at such a time.
Okay.
Paula?
I guess I just want to say, kind of back up what AJ just said there. I think this just gives members the opportunity to be careful with the association money while trying to bring forward a member petition or the SGM. So I would support this in that it gives people the option. They don't have to do it, but it certainly gives them the option, with the only restriction being to get it onto the AGM, you need to get it to us in the same amount of time that the board has to put things forward to get it on there. It's not restrictive. It gives people the opportunity to, we've heard the community say before that this is something that they would like to see so that they could have the option to do it separate from an AGM. So I support it as an option for the community.
Mr.
So I guess
President,
the
call the
question for
question.
you is, do you call the question and we say that you're gonna do the measure 3 with the amendment? Paul is gonna send me the language and you guys are all gonna look at it at your next board meeting. Or,
I don't think we even need to do that because we've brought forward a completely different measure at this time that puts the timeline in there along with it. I mean, I think you can certainly send it out. That's always a good idea, but the point of making a brand new motion was that we could push it forward, as Rob suggested, vote on it and move forward with it. I mean, go ahead and send it to us. I think that's great, but I think if this passes, we know exactly what it is we're looking for.
Mr. President, call the
okay,
question.
that's fine.
Thanks. Thanks, Rob. Yep. All those in favor of the motion amended, or the motion as presented by Paula, signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Okay.
Please speak up. There's one nay. Okay, my understanding is the motion carries. Correct, Paula?
Passes.
Thank you. Next item, Lynn.
Okay, working on number 4. I thought this was gonna be easy. Working on 4, you guys approved this before. However, shame on me, I have added to this. The only thing I've added is if you look, it now says, it says, shall Article 2, Section 5 quorum and Section 6 adjournment be amended to revise the definition of a quorum and meeting adjournment. And when you change the language and agreed to change the language of what a quorum was, you're obligated to also change the language of what adjournment is, because it goes back in to say at the end of that, that the required quorum at the adjourned meeting shall be, and it says 50 members, and it should now say the meeting shall be same as in section 5 above. All it's doing is linking them together, because in reality, they are a linked item. I don't know why it isn't all together, but I'm sure there's a good reason for it. I just need you guys to take a look at that section 6, because that's what amended is now, that it's just simply saying it's going to be that the quorum is the same as in section 5 above, and it links the two together.
So Linda, do you have a
So if at
motion?
a time you change the quorum again, it would just, they're linked together.
Is there a motion for that?
I move, all right, I'll do this. I'll move that we adopt measure 4 to amend shall Article 2, Section 5, quorum, and Section 6, adjournment, be amended to revise the definition of a quorum and meeting adjournment.
Do you want to email that
Second.
to me?
I need a second.
Second,
Discussion.
Will you email that to me, Linda? You lost me at section 6.
I can.
Thank you.
You've already got that in your board packet.
Oh, yeah, that's, never mind. You're right, I've got it.
You already got it.
Any discussion?
So I
don't wanna-
guess that's,
Oh, go ahead.
yep.
Hearing none, may I call the question? All those in favor of the motion as presented signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Please speak up.
Nay.
1 nay.
3
Two.
nays.
3 nays.
Thank you. Not everyone's on my screen.
Oh,
Nay.
Yeah, I can't see people at all.
I'm all shadowy because
I
of the
could-
sun.
I can still see everybody and I got 3 nays.
Okay.
3
Did-
nays, how many yays?
4.
Okay, the
So
motion
it passes.
passes. Thank you. Next, Linda.
Oh, all right, here we go. Measure 5. And you guys voted on this already. The only thing I'm doing for you, and I don't know that you want to vote on it again because it passed. I'm trying to show you what the actual ballot measure and the language that's going to go in the booklet is going to look like. And that's why I put this on here. Originally, I just sent you the bylaw amendments, Leslie, and AJ said, please put it in the format of the bylaws. So that's what I did last time. And that's what, when you approved this, all I'm doing now is showing you, this is what it's gonna look like when it goes in the booklet to be voted on. And eventually, this is what we'll end up sending to the attorney.
Question,
So we
We-
really don't need a vote. This is just me saying, guys, this is what it looks like.
are we gonna vote eventually on the booklet then to send to the attorney? Is that what we do?
Yeah, once we
Like
get all the
eventually
stuff,
we're gonna,
you know,
once we
you're
get the
la-
whole
you're
booklet,
lacking a lot of stuff. The attorney only looks at language. Usually what he looks at is the budget measure. And then he looks at the bylaw changes. If there was any special assessment, he'd probably look at that language too. But that's what he looks at, yes. And hopefully, before it goes out to the members, you're going to get a chance to take a look at what it looks like when Unelect gets done with it. Our ballots are going to look, I believe, much different than they have in the past.
so just to clarify,
We're going to do.
we already approved the bylaw language change. And we will eventually vote and approve entire ballot booklet. So there is nothing to vote on here because we'll approve all of the ballot booklet language through another vote.
Yes, I just put 5 in here because I wanted y'all to take a look and see what it looks like. Leslie knows that sometimes you end up with all these iterations. And you guys had asked originally when all I gave you was the little section we wanted to change. You went, put it in bylaw format. And so I did. So this time when I redid everything, I thought, well, let's show them because I haven't shown you ballot language yet.
Can I insert something real
Okay.
quick? Just AJ, typically what we do when we get ballot materials back, we've had before it goes to the final print, we've asked volunteers from the board to sit and physically proof them together,
Okay.
like the actual materials, not just, you know.
And I was thinking before we even sent it to the printer, I'm assuming we've like approve a final booklet.
But when we get it back from the printer, just the proof itself, that's the board volunteers and NNE and whomever, whatever other stakeholders want to sit there together and physically read it off to each other and proof every single period, capital, everything.
Paula, your hand was up.
I could be wrong, but I don't recall voting on the booklet itself before it went out because everything that's in it has been voted on prior to it. So do we vote on the actual booklet? I don't think that we've done that in the past.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm asking
Because
the
we
question.
voted on the measures that go into it, I guess.
Leslie?
Yeah, and then that's my opinion also, Paula. We don't actually re-vote. What we do is we look at the booklet and we concur that, yes, these indeed are the things that we did already approve. But we are not re-approving each one of the ballot measures.
Yeah, I recall getting a copy of it before it went out, but not having to vote on anything again.
Okay, I'm just
I
trying to
think it's just-
clarify because I did see some, like a typo in one thing, but it was minor. And it was in the explanation part, I believe, not the bylaw amendment part that we're actually,
Those are exactly the things we look for. Thank you.
okay.
You know, the attorney will look at a lot of this stuff and he's gonna, like I say, you're gonna have, you need your budget measure because he looks at that. And then he'll look at all these bylaw measures. Measure 2 is basically already his language that he's recommended, but he looks at all of them. The only thing I'm trying to get for you guys to look at is what, you know, here you have what the ballot's gonna say. And like Leslie pointed out, it's a summary of that. But then in the booklet that people vote on, it's just like when you vote in an election, when you vote for something, it shall this be, that be done, and you vote yes or no, but you've read your election booklet from the county and it explains in there exactly what you're voting on. And that's exactly what our booklets do.
Well, I would say if we don't actually vote on a full booklet, then we would have to vote on this ballot measure. Because all we voted on last time was just the language change in the bylaws. I don't think we
Okay,
had
that works for me just perfectly.
right? We didn't have the ballot language, did we, last time? I don't.
No,
believe
you
we
didn't.
did.
That's correct. You did not have the ballot language. So I guess I would make a motion that the board approve Measure 5 bylaw amendment to remove floor voting. Shall Article 2, Section 7B, voting be amended to remove floor voting.
Second.
Sorry, was there a second?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, any further discussion?
Call the question.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. or raising your hand. Any opposed? Please speak up.
Do you think that there will
We
be
have
people voting from the
unanimous?
floor to remove floor voting?
Pardon?
I was just being silly. I said, do you think there are going to be people voting from the floor in November to remove floor voting? Sorry,
Might
I'm
try.
muting.
They better have their ballot with them then that has their special little mark on it or it won't count. You have no idea what that does down in the counting room, folks. So was that a unanimous approval then of that measure?
Yes, it was.
Thank you. Then I am done.
Look at us getting it all right.
Look at that. Thanks, Linda. Okay, time for Joe to take it away. Capitol Roads.
Good evening, everyone. Hello.
Hi, Joe.
Good evening.
Hi, everybody. All right, real quick. Linda actually did provide me with some information. Thank you very much about this. So again, thank you. So what I did is I talked to Tyler. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the design stuff out, AJ, and put that under 9901 because that should be in the design. And then we'll take the contingency out as well. So that would bring your costs down just for the drainage on the windward part would be $38,100.30. And then the wall itself would be $136,810.34. As far as the contracts and the scopes and everything, AJ, that is all in the bid packages, and it will be done through WASH dot specs and MUTCD specs and standards. And Tyler will be the one overseeing all of that work to make sure that the proper stuff is being followed per the specs and per the design of the bid package.
So question, the engineering stuff is going, you just listed off a number. I don't know what that means.
That was the 9901.
Yeah, what is, I'm guessing
That's
call
the
center,
actual open item that is for design and stuff.
like the on-call.
No. There's a line item that is still open, and Linda brought it up last time. It is line item 9901 in the reserve study that we're using. That was for the designs for way back. This was started in 2016, so that had been opened, and that's what it was used for design. So we will just move the design aspect out of the bid from P&W and move it over to there. So
Do we know when the previous monies were expended?
Up through 2018.
And those were with P&W?
Nope, they were with Wilson.
So Wilson did a half design for us and P&W finished it, or what?
Yes. Yep.
And the design total would end up being what then exactly?
About $24,000 overall.
With the Wilson money and the P&W money?
Yes.
Okay.
And that includes all the permits, all the submittals, all the bid packages, the whole thing to do for that design part of that project.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're pulling that out.
Yep.
And then it's just, are you in pulling out his oversight of construction as well into that, or does that stay with the construction?
That would stay with construction. I would leave that right. That would be part of the ongoing project. I wouldn't put, because that wouldn't be designed or permit. That would be he'd be acting as a GC at that point as project manager.
Yeah, I agree. That makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
And
that.
the only other thing we'll leave in there is the $3,000 for geotech for the compaction allowance.
Yeah.
That has to, we got to leave that in there just to, so we have that because they're going to have to compact as well and test it.
Yeah, they should be testing the asphalt.
Yeah.
I think Karen.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm following the money here. So we have an open, and I apologize, I don't have the spreadsheet right in front of me right now. So we are taking out of this request, the design work that's going to be charged to the currently open project for design that has enough room to absorb that in it.
Yes,
And
it's
then this,
it has
sorry.
30,000 in it.
okay, 30,000 left.
No, it's got 20 or 18 left.
18 left, but the total you said is going to be 24.
Wasn't that
Uh,
cost
it-
originally budgeted in that one?
It's going to be 12. The
So
what
it's
we're
not
adding into
absorbing?
it is 12.
You're adding 12. Okay, so it's got 18 left. We're adding 12. We're
Yes.
gonna subtract 12 out of that. I got it.
Right.
And then you're gonna subtract that 12,000 out of your request
Correct.
for the construction.
And the 10% contingency as well.
And the contingency is just coming out. It's
Yep.
not going anywhere else.
Yep.
Okay.
So on the original requests, it was for the road repair, it was 44,154.16 plus plus the contingency, which that included. So now it comes down to $38,130.
Okay. Can I make a request that, I know this happens sometimes, but not all the time, but could we make it standard that when we are doing capital requests, we just go ahead and put that line item that it relates to in the reserve study? I
Sure.
think it'll just help us all trace it. It
Okay.
happens sometimes, but not always, but I think it would help us all
Okay.
sort through some of this stuff. Thank you.
So I think,
Is there a motion on the
I think-
floor?
no, there's
You
no
want me,
motion.
okay, I can't make a motion. I'm not a
My
voting.
computer keeps freezing.
Tell me the amount, Joe. One-
For the Windward stormwater mitigation is $38,130, not to exceed that, coming from capital roads,
Okay. If I fumble this, help me out. Okay, I would like to make a motion that.
What about the,
Can we do the
Go ahead.
retaining wall? Let's
Well,
do
we'll
this.
do-
one.
We'll do this and then the retaining wall.
So I would like to make a motion that we approve 38,000, we approve not to exceed $38,130.
No, $100.30.
Sorry, $100.30, sorry, $38,100.30 to come from the roads capital fund for stormwater mitigation on Windward Drive, is that correct?
Yes.
Second,
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion as stated signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Any opposed? Please speak up so we can hear you. I saw the motion passes, correct, Paul? Thanks. Okay, next item.
Okay, this will be the retaining wall for Windward Drive. Again, taking everything out other than taking the contingency out and reallocating the design part. The new request is for $136,810.34.
Do you want me to go ahead and make a motion for that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I would like to make a motion that we approve from the roads capital fund not to exceed $136,810.34 for the Windward Drive retaining wall construction.
second,
Any further discussion? May I call the question? All those in favor of the motion as stated signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you, Joe.
Thank
Anything
you,
else?
guys.
Well, if that's it, we need a motion to adjourn.
move to adjourn.
Second,
We'll make that as acclamation. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night. Stay safe.
thank you.
Hey, AJ, real quick.
Mm,
When the contract comes in,